News Central now at this hour begins with court matters. The immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, will remain in custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, till December 10, 2024. Yahaya Bello and two others earlier pleaded not guilty to the 16-count charge brought against them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The former Kogi State governor, who is the first defendant, vehemently denied the allegations before Justice Marianne Anene as they were read out to them. After taking their plea, the defendants' counsel, Joseph Daudu, moved an application for bail, but the EFCC counsel, Kemi Pinheiro, opposed the application, saying it had expired in October. Making clarifications, the defendants' counsel clarified that, saying that the only relevant application before the court was the motion for bail in respect of the first defendant, which was filed on November 2024 on the 22nd. We'll now head to the Parliament, where some lawmakers protested against a motion to suspend its rules and proceedings to allow the Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zacchaeus Adedeji, and the Chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, into the Red Chamber. This was after the Senate suspended its rules to admit Adedeji and the consultants into plenary to explain that the tax reform bill entailed. However, before they were admitted, a slight uproar ensued as some lawmakers kicked against the FIRS chairs and the consultants' entry to the chamber. The heated exchange underscored the growing tension surrounding the tax reform bill, which has drawn widespread public interest and concern over its potential impact on Nigeria's economy.
Most appropriately, I don't see anywhere whereby the senators should allow these people to come here and make the kind of interactions they so want. However, committees of the Senate and Appropriation can invite for the interaction of this manner, but not the Senate in session. I think our rule does not cover invitation to consultants or any official of government to come and bring the sentence. I so submit.
Use the position of the Senate, because the order paper is clear, and we have been doing this. I have no problem having them to come here and explain whatever. We have been doing that, but we follow known procedures. And that is, if today this thing has to be taken, you now quickly ask for supplementary order paper that will reflect this. And as you say, this is a very, very important matter. It is not a matter that you just come and tell us after we are doing business of the day. Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You will have your way, but I can have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
Arrangement. We want to be open. We want Nigerians to know. We want everybody to know. What's wrong here? We are trying to make everything open, live. Let everybody listen. The chairman of is here. And why are you saying you don't want that to be done? This is wrong. 1B, which the leader came under. Can you read order 1B for me, please? Can you read order 1B? Okay. Order 1B read as follows. In all cases not provided for in this standing order, or by sessional or other orders or practice of the Senate.
We now head to the energy sector. After several postponements, the Port Harcourt refinery has finally commenced fuel production. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, confirmed this on its X handle on Tuesday. Our correspondent Bennett Akede gives us a brief history of the refinery.
The Port Harcourt Refinery Company is a subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPCL. Located in Alesa, Eleme, just to the southeast of Port Harcourt, the company operates two oil refineries, including an old plant commissioned in 1965 that can process 60,000 barrels per stream day, as well as a new plant commissioned in 1989, which has a capacity of 150,000 barrels per stream day. Both oil refineries possess a combined capacity of 210,000 barrels per stream day. Sadly, the refinery in Port Harcourt, along with other state-owned refineries in the country, has only utilized a fraction of its capacity in recent decades due to inefficient processes and lack of maintenance. This has led to Nigeria, Africa's largest crude oil producer, becoming increasingly reliant on imports of refined petroleum products. In March 2021, the Nigerian government approved expenditure of $1.5 billion for the refurbishment and modernization of the refinery complex in Port Harcourt. The main contract for the modernization for the refinery was also awarded in the same month. The renovation project for the refinery in Port Harcourt, which will be carried out in 3 phases, is scheduled for completion by 2025. After several postponements, the Port Harcourt refinery has finally commenced fuel production.
It's very important to know that you can't do this without leadership support and encouragement. And with that combination, this plan has come live today. It's going to solve some of the energy security issues in our country, and we are very proud that this has been done, and it's really a very fulfilling moment, this moment for everyone working in NNPC, and also to our shareholders, that we have delivered value to our shareholders, and this is what they expect from us.
In an update on X, the NNPCL said NNPC Limited delivers Port Harcourt refinery as plant begins truck out of products Tuesday, 26 November 2024 at 1:45 p.m.
Last week, you can see the price coming down. Partly is because there is ample availability of products because marketers, because of removal of subsidy by Mr. President, which has been done well last year, but again, the adjustment to reflect the actual price have made other marketers import, so there's more choice, more availability.
The refinery will start with 60,000 barrels capacity per day, releasing premium motor spirit, diesel, and others into the Nigerian market.
For today, on the port of NNPC, the price still remains 1,045 naira. But the challenge we are having, and the GMD has promised to do something about it as it concerns the selling rate of Dangote. Dangote is selling 970 naira per liter, while NNPC is still selling to us 1,045 naira. A difference of variation of 75 naira per liter. And you know, a businessman appreciates 1 kobo as a discount, so there's no business. So hence, the troop in and the rush and the high traffic that we should be occasion arising from today is a bit less, but I think going forward, NNPC will review its price going forward.
The Port Harcourt refinery would be the second petrol-producing refinery after the Dangote refinery commenced PMS production in September. Before now, promises made to Nigerians by the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources and the NNPCL about the refinery failed 7 times. The hope is that with this refinery now up and running alongside the Dangote refinery, issues concerning fuel scarcity and price hikes could soon become a thing of the past, not forgetting the other 2 state-owned refineries in Warri and Kaduna. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
The Supreme Court has resolved the prolonged leadership tussle in the All Progressives Grand Alliance, the APGA, confirming Sly Eze Okenwa as the party's legitimate national chairman. In unanimous judgments on Wednesday, a 5-member panel dismissed Edozie Njoku's claim to the position, ruling that the 2021 Supreme Court judgment he relied upon did not grant. The Supreme Court judgments that he relied upon did not grant enforceable rights. Justice Stephen Adda, delivering the lead judgment, emphasized that party leadership disputes are internal matters and non-justiciable. The court also nullified lower court rulings that favored Njoku and awarded a total of 60 million naira in cost against his faction. Eze Okenwa hailed the verdict as a victory for justice, commending the judiciary for restoring order to APGA's leadership. Now, let's also tell you that members of the Magistrates Association of Nigeria Cross River State chapter have embarked on an indefinite strike with effect from Wednesday, November 27, 2024. The strike is coming amid a warning strike embarked upon by organized labor in the state. Magistrates have said the strike will not cease until their demands are met by the government. They argue that the government has failed to implement their promotions and see to their overall welfare and working environment. A bulletin jointly signed by the association's chairman, Godwin Ona, and Secretary General Solomon Abul dated Wednesday, November 27, 2024, confirmed the strike action. And now we go back to our first story from earlier this evening regarding Yahaya Bello in court today. And to discuss that further, we have our correspondent, Emmanuel Bagudu, joining us now. Emmanuel, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We hear that you were earlier in court today. Would like to know exactly what the environment was like, what the atmosphere was like with Yahaya finally coming out of hiding and being in court. If you would please give us, bring us up to speed.
Yes, actually, the first arrangement of having Bello made himself available to the EFCC. I mean, you remember he was very elusive. He was not honoring court summons. He has evaded arrest several times, and immediately submitted himself to the EFCC. It was an opportunity for the EFCC to, to arraign him alongside his accomplices. Now, what really happened was in court today was the fact that the EFCC, are held bent on, keeping Bello on their custody, since this is the only first opportunity they are having to, to have him with them. So they argue it out in court before Justice Mary Ann Aneni, whom they say that Bello should not be allowed, ex-governor Bello should not be allowed, to not be granted any bail because of the serious difficulty he gave them while they are trying to investigate him. So that was argued, and it was agreed that by the 10th of December, the judge is going to rule about on that. Now, the bone of contention there is the fact that the EFCC have not been able to arrest or rather summon the governor. It was the governor that actually submitted himself voluntarily. So, and that for the EFCC, if you look at their body language today, is that any opportunity for Yahaya Bello to escape from their hands will mean them starting afresh to start looking at, will make the prosecution so frustrating. That was why the argument was that hectic, was that too confrontational today in court. Yeah.
So let's talk about the fact that he's being prosecuted, well, inside of an APC by the government, which is being run currently by the APC, of which he is also a party member. What does that say about accountability? Are people confident of the judiciary in this case, or do they think that perhaps this is just one of those show and tell type of cases when it comes to tackling corruption?
Yes, we had the opportunity of interacting with a lot of people. A lot of supporters of Yahaya Bello were in court today, and they were hoping that their principal will go back home today. Unfortunately, he has been returned back to the EFCC custody. Now, in terms of when you talk about accountability, the energy in which the EFCC officials are using, to pursue this case, it tells you that actually there are some kind of, a ray of light at the end of the tunnel, that the government is actually interested in, fighting corruption. But we hope it's not eye service, because the security officials today, you see the way they are moving, the way they wicks the ex-governor back to the boss. In fact, they were so overzealous that they even had an accident today just in front of the High Court Maitama. The guys were so overzealous that they had a very fatal accident while taking the ex-governor back to custody. So it really shows that there are some kind of, they have this ambition, they have this intention to fight corruption. From what we see, and we hope that it's not eye service. And then by the 10th of December, we will see, what Justice Mary Ann Aneni will say about the bail application, that was applied by Bello. But of course, the arguments from the defense counsel, from the prosecution, was very clear that Bello is not qualified for any bail, because several times his trial has commenced long ago while he was in absentia, and of course, the issue of bail application should have come long ago before now. So as far as they're concerned, he has petitioned. He has petitioned his right. He's no longer. He should be on their custody from the beginning to the end of the case. So it really shows that these guys are very happy. They are very passionate about the fight for corruption, about the fight for accountability, from what we witnessed today in court. Yeah.
All right then. Well, Emmanuel Bagudu, want to say thank you very much for bringing us the details. Thank you. And now to security matters. Troops of the Multinational Joint Task Force foiled a night attack by IPSWAP Boko Haram terrorists in Kirawa, Cameroon on Monday, November 25. Now operating under Sector 1 in Mura, the troops intercepted the attackers and engaged them in a fierce gunfire, killing 2 terrorists while others fled. During a subsequent sweep of the area, the troops recovered a grenade and an improvised explosive device. neutralizing future threats. Now, the MNJTF reaffirmed its commitment to maintaining peace and stability in the Lake Chad region through vigilance and sustained operations. And now, away from that, President Bola Tinubu and First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu have embarked on a state visit to France, following an invitation from French President Emmanuel Macron and First Lady Brigitte Macron. The Nigerian president will be formally received at Les Invalides, France Historic Military Museum, and the LC Palace for ceremonial activities and bilateral discussions. The announcement was made on Wednesday, November 27, via a post on X by Olusegun Dada, Senior Special Assistant to the President on social media. Now, let's also tell you that Vice President Kashim Shettima has left for Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire from Abuja to attend the opening of the International Exhibition of Extractive and Energy Resources 2024 conference. The event holds from November 27 to December 2nd, 2024 at the Abidjan Exhibition Center. In a statement released Wednesday, Senior Special Assistant to the Vice President on Media and Communications, Mr. Stanley Nwokocha, said that the VP's visit is at the invitation of Côte d'Ivoire's Vice President Tiomoko Mile Kone. The CIREX conference, organized by the government of Côte d'Ivoire, focuses on policies and strategies for the sustainable development of the extractive and energy industries. According to Nwokocha, Shettima will share Nigeria's experience in the hydrocarbon exploration and production sectors at the event. Financial experts have raised concerns over Nigeria's rapidly increasing national debt, calling it a troubling development. This follows President Bola Tinubu's recent request to the National Assembly for an additional $2.2 billion loan equivalent to 1.767 trillion naira to help cover the 9.7 trillion naira deficit in the proposed 28.7 trillion naira 2024 budget. Dr. Muda Yusuf, CEO of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, highlighted the alarming rise in public debt during an interview. He noted that Nigeria's total public debt stood at 12.6 trillion naira in 2015, but as of June 2024, it had surged to 134 trillion naira, an increase of over 900%. Yusuf emphasized that borrowing should ideally strengthen the economy's capacity to repay debt, underscoring the importance of productive use of loans to avoid further financial strain. And now to discuss this, we're joined by CEO of Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, Dr. Muda Yusuf himself. Dr. Muda, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now let's start by asking what exactly your concerns are, that of the financial experts and that of financial experts with regards to Nigeria's increasing debt profile. I ask because some experts have said borrowing is not bad in itself. So what side do you lean to?
No, I agree with the position that borrowing in itself is not a bad thing. What is important, just as you said in your intro, first is the use to which we commit the borrowing, because essentially we are supposed to use all this borrowing to build the capacity of the economy to be able to repay the loan, either building the human capacity or building the infrastructure, physical infrastructure capacity, in a way that is cost effective, in a way that can properly fit into the principles of value for money. That is one. Secondly, it's about the sustainability of the debt. And sustainability has to do with the cost of the debt, that is the interest payment on the debt. And secondly, about the tenor of the debt. Those two are also very critical because no matter how noble the objective is, if the costs of the debt, I'm talking now about the interest payment on the debt, if it's too high, then it imposes a lot of burden, on the government and on the people. It also creates an issue of, resources that you normally should have used to do other things, you use it to begin to service debts. So we need to also be cautious about the burden of debt service. So that is why we need to be very strategic in the choice of debt.
Okay. So, Dr. Muda, how can the government then strike a balance between meeting its borrowing needs and also supporting private sector growth, and also the debt as well, which is currently being stifled by government borrowing?
Well, what is important is to ensure that the debt is spent in a way to improve private sector productivity. For instance, one of the biggest challenges that the private sector is facing now is the challenge of infrastructure. So if we commit the debt to building infrastructure, I mean, that will help private sector productivity. And that will help the economy. It also benefit the people. So that, for me, is extremely, very, very important. The second thing is that we should commit, or we should focus more on multilateral debt. And that is what I think the government is doing, at least under this administration. Multilateral debts are debts owed to, the multilateral organization like the ADB, like the World Bank, like the IMF, because their interest rates are generally very low, at best maybe 2%, sometimes it's 1%, and their tenors are also very high, although they also have the challenge of exchange rate risk, because most of these multilateral debts are also in foreign currency. So if you have an exchange rate depreciation, it could also pose a problem. But from the point of view of the costs, I'm talking of the interest rate and the tenor, I think it's a good one. Then the second one, I'm talking of external debt now, is the bilateral debt. Bilateral debt most times doesn't come in cash. It comes in terms of commitment to projects, just as we have with the Chinese loans. Chinese loans are devoted to specific projects, and they're also involved in the execution of the project. So you can easily see what those funds are used for.
Indeed.
So those are the things I think can bring value both to the private sector and even to the government itself. But we need to worry about costs. And the cost of domestic borrowing is extremely very high. But when government is borrowing at over 20%, it creates a whole lot of problem, both for the cost of financing the debt in terms of debt service, and also the issue of crowding out of the private sector in the financial markets. So these are the things that we worry about when we talk about debt management.
Okay, especially that bit about the forex and the exchange rate, how it happens. I mean, 900% increase since 2015. It had to be about the forex. But recently, you highlighted the need to reduce Nigeria's reliance on Eurobonds. Here, can you elaborate on the potential risks associated with Eurobond exposure and propose perhaps maybe strategies for Nigeria to minimize these risks?
Eurobonds are commercial debts. They are not as concessionary as the multilateral debt or the bilateral debts. And the interest rate we often pay is also very high. Sometimes it's close to 10%, which is high by global standards, because some countries get it at 3%, 4%. They are getting it at between 9 and 10%. That is extremely very high. So we need to also be careful so that we don't enter into a debt engagement that will be putting pressure on our reserves. Because if you look at the data with regard to international payments, a lot is going to debt service, sometimes even higher than remittances and even letters of credit. So in order to minimize that kind of pressure, as much as possible, I think we should avoid the Eurobond because it is too costly. So that is why we are suggesting that we should concentrate more either on domestic debt with lower interest rate, of course, or on multilateral and bilateral debts.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Doctor. And, we'll come to you next time again when we need details of the sort. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has raised concerns over the non-implementation of the new national minimum wage by the governors of Cross River, Zamfara, and some other states. The union called on states currently in the process of implementing the wage structure to work within the current economic realities of the country. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
Part of the nation's organized labor deliberated on pressing issues affecting Nigerian workers. Speaking to the press, The TUC president, Festus Osifo, railed out the burning issues, beginning with the current drive by organized labor to ensure full implementation of the new national minimum wage by government at all levels.
Cross River, there is a 2-day morning strike that is currently going on in Cross River State because the government of Cross River State is not responsive to the plight of workers regarding the issues of minimum wage. Then, a state like Zamfara, as we speak, have not brought any, have not even constituted a committee to discuss on the issues that are bordering on minimum wage. So there is no conversation going on currently in Zamfara State on how the new minimum wage will be implemented and how the consequential adjustment should be done. So we are hereby calling on the governor of Zamfara to emulate what is happening in the state that is very close to it, that also have similar revenue. A state like Kebbi today is also taking a lead.
Osifo went further to present the union's stance on the ongoing tax reforms and other issues bothering the Nigerian workers, which he described as the downtrodden in the society.
The downtrodden Nigerians, they are passing through excruciating hunger and they are passing through pains as we speak today. Yes, government has said that for those that are around minimum wage, that there is going to be tax relief. But we hereby call that net should be expanded much more. That net should be expanded to give more Nigerians tax relief so that they could be able to use their earnings to cater for their families. Because as you rightly know, the cost of goods in the market is outside the roof.
With just 5 days to the 1st December planned strike by the organized labor, it is hoped that state government will meet up with the union's demand and avert another strike. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Still on wage matters, Plateau State has joined about 20 other states across Nigeria to pay the 70,000 naira minimum wage to civil servants in their various states, as agreed with labor unions, owing to the current economic hardship in the country. This was confirmed by Plateau State's chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress, the head of civil service in the state, and the chairman, Association of Local Government of Nigeria. In exclusive interviews with News Central's Chizoba Nyonwe in Jos, the Plateau State capital, they said the deal was agreed upon between the labor unions in the state and the state governor, Caleb Muftwang. According to them, implementation of the deal, which translates into payment of the agreed sum, is effective November 2024.
Has agreed to pay the 70,000 minimum wage and all the consequential adjustments therein. We signed an agreement with the unions about a week or so ago. We are going to start with the November salary. And I want to believe this week or early next week, they will get their November salary with the new minimum wage.
For fears of maybe the sustainability of the payment, I think he has also been taken care of for the future. So we don't pray for that anyway. But I think the governor has graciously looked into that and is willing to see to it that he don't start and then he fails. I think it's part of the condition he gave. You know, the implementation and then sustainability forms part of the negotiation as of the time we were.
Actually, we've been having a little bit problem with the workers. They are not coming up to work. So actually, with this minimum wage, they should tidy up because everybody should have to come to work specifically. If not that, we have to take a strong measure, serious measure of how people should be prompt in their duty posts.
Away from that now, pensioners under the contributory pension scheme are demanding the federal government release outstanding accrued gratuities from March 2023 to November 2024. They're also seeking payment of unpaid pension increments, including increases in 2007, 2010, and 2024. The pensioners are calling on the government to declare a state of emergency in the CPS sector and clear all liabilities before December 16, 2024. They've threatened to occupy the Federal Ministry of Finance and the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation in Abuja until their demands are met. The pensioners' union leadership says they have the mandate of their members nationwide to take this action. Welcome back. Now we head to South Africa, where Stilfontein residents have come together in a heartbreaking plea for action. Local residents and the relatives of miners trapped underground are demanding that the government take immediate measures to rescue their loved ones who are dying slowly in the shaft depths. The miners have been trapped at an abandoned mine for weeks now without food or water, following a ruling from the Pretoria High Court that no aid should be sent down the shaft. Police have been camped outside the exit point for weeks now.
So it's just the media and the police that are here, and we understand that from these mines, no one has come out, and also the police continue to guard the two exits, exit 11 and exit 10, which exit 11 is where other miners came in some days ago. But we also understand that there are miners who are also underground. We had gone to look for gold, who are also underground. But we had an opportunity to go to the communities and speak to community members, with one family member who said his brother, before he was a miner, he was a gangster. So what does this mean? It means that there are no job opportunities in this community. So the community here are using mining as a source of income. They go down there, get gold, and come outside and sell it. That's how most of them, they are surviving in this community. But we have also the relatives of those people who are down the mine. In the morning, they came to the other side just to protest, to say that the government is taking long for them to help these trapped miners who are here, because so far we haven't seen anything that is happening here. It's just the police that are guarding those exits. But also the human rights were also here. Also, they said that they are going to appeal. You know that for 2 weeks now, these miners haven't been getting food or water. So the court ruled out that they shouldn't get water and food. Because why? We know that the minister and the president had earlier said that they are going to smoke these miners out. So there's no food or water that has been going down there. But the other question that is on everyone's mouth, because this is not the only mine that we know of that have illegal miners. It's many of them around Johannesburg, not only in Johannesburg, but South Africa. So the question is, why were these mines, and why are these mines not closed down? So why are these mines still open? It's not a new thing that we have seen illegal miners going down underground to look for gold, especially those who are unemployed. So these are some of the questions that people are asking. But also the other thing that was raised by other people is that they are not being rescued because many of them are foreign nationals, with other community members also speaking on it, that humanity has to come first. These people need to be helped regardless of their nationalities. So it's still now police guarding these exits, media waiting for those illegal miners to come out, or the police or the government to help. So this is the situation that is on the ground for now.
South Africa News Central correspondent there, Bongani Sisiba. And now, IPC opposition party leader Pundeleni Itula casts his vote in the general elections in Namibia. These presidential and legislative elections are pivotal, as they could upset the ruling Southwest Africa People's Organization's 34-year grip on power. The 67-year-old former dentist and lawyer who founded the Independent Patriots for Change Party in 2020 after leaving SWAPO lost to SWAPO leader Hage Geingob, taking only 29% of votes in the 2019 elections. In his polling station in Windhoek, Itula affirmed that he is optimistic that his 4-year-old party could unseat the revolutionary movement. Now, fresh anti-government protests erupted in Mozambique amid an outcry after a police vehicle mowed down a woman at a demonstration in the capital, Venancio Mondlane. The opposition leader disrupted, or rather disputed, October elections. Mozambique's government had banned protests following sustained post-election unrest that has left several people dead and dozens others injured. It follows last month's disputed presidential election, won by Frelimo, the party which has governed Mozambique since 1975. Demonstrators started at the end of last month, or rather demonstrations started at the end of last month in the capital Maputo after Daniel Chapo, the Frelimo candidate, was officially declared the winner with more than 71% of votes. Now, staying in the region, Tanzanian opposition party Chadema says 3 of its members were killed in incidents linked to local elections and accused the authorities of rigging the votes. Chadema chairman Freeman Mbowe said that one of its candidates, Modestus Timbismiliwa, was shot dead by police in the commercial capital Dar es Salaam as he attempted to stop fake and invalid ballots being delivered to a polling station. Chadema said another candidate, George Juma Mohammed, was also shot dead at his home in Mkese in central Tanzania in nights before. Now, police said the death occurred when a group of prison officials were called in the deal with a clash between supporters of Chadema and the ruling Chema Cha Muzipunduzi party and fired warning shots, they say. Now, in Central Africa, Amnesty International has accused Angolan police of killing at least 17 protesters with excessive force, including live bullets, over the past 30 months. The group says none of the officers responsible have faced justice and that police have frequently used force unnecessarily, violating Angolan and international laws. The deadliest incident occurred in January 2021 when police killed at least 10 people at an anti-poverty protest in Kafungfo. The current president, Joe Lourenço, has been in power since 2017 and is set to meet the U.S. President Joe Biden next month. Amnesty International is calling for an investigation into the allegations of police killings and human rights violations. Now, Russia announced Wednesday that it will expel 2 journalists from Germany's ARD national network in a tit-for-tat response after a Russian broadcaster reported its journalists were ordered to leave Berlin. Speaking at a press briefing, Russian Foreign Minister spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said the move was necessary following Germany's actions. She identified the 2 ARD journalists as correspondent Frank Eichmann and cameraman Sven Feller, who must leave Moscow and surrender their accreditations. Zakharova added that Russia would consider accrediting new ARD correspondents only if Germany provides favorable conditions for Russian journalists and allows Channel One's Berlin bureau to fully resume operations.
Запрет властей ФРГ на пребывание и работу корреспондентов Первого канала. Мы вынуждены принять зеркальные меры в отношении журналистов московского представительства немецкой медиагруппы АРД. Немецким корреспондентам в ответ на недружественные действия официального Берлина, которые были предприняты в отношении российских корреспондентов, так вот, немецким корреспондентам в качестве зеркальной меры предписано сдать свои аккредитационные удостоверения и покинуть территорию Российской Федерации в установленном.
And we have more news on News Central TV after this break. Time for sports now. Lagos will take center stage as it hosts the Junior EPEE World Cup on December 14th and 15th. This men's-only competition is set to feature participants from 13 countries, including Greece, the USA, and Hong Kong, open to fencers aged 13 to 20. The tournament offers up to 32 world ranking points in a single elimination format. With individuals and team categories, it serves as a key qualifier for the Olympics and other major fencing competitions. With Nigeria being the only sub-Saharan African country to host a fencing competition, Samuel Adeyinka, president of the Nigerian Fencing Federation, and John Todd, head of education at Chatted House, have emphasized the significance of the tournament.
So World Cup is quite high up there. You get 32 points if you win it, and it's a tournament that a lot of countries go for because that's where you secure world points to allow you compete for your country at the Olympics or World Championships when required. At the moment, countries that are registered, and we're still expecting more, are the US, we have Hong Kong, we have Greece, we have Nigeria, obviously, which is going to be well represented. We have Ghana, we have Senegal, we have Egypt, who are top 3 fencers at the moment, fencing countries, very strong. We have Angola, Togo, and Benin. I'm not sure if I repeated myself, but at the moment,
for our first, looking to partner with sports organizations at the highest level. And I've known Yinka for a very long time, and this was just a great opportunity. We've got fabulous facilities. He wants to run a international world level competition, and essentially there is not another facility in Lagos that can host an event like this. So the partnership was...
And that's all this hour on the news. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories that we brought your way. Our former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, is to remain in custody till December 10 over alleged fraud. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu visits France for bilateral talks. I also told you that new protests erupted in Mozambique as police mow down demonstrators. To remember now, you can catch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, on Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.